Okay, because I want to talk a bit more about OWISE specifically, and if I'm a user, who are your typical users? How do they access the tools? How bring me through that journey of actually engaging with OWISE.
Yes, so it is launching. It has just launched for essentially a totally validated version that's been part of clinical trials. It's been investigated, has been accredited, has been published on in peer-reviewed medical journals. That is essentially for any person who's just been diagnosed with cancer. And we've made it in such a way through all these workshops and focus groups that any person who doesn't use an app in daily life can still use it. So everything has been explained. It should be a user experience, and we've heard from users that it is a user experience that makes it really easy for them to tap into specific information and tools that are right for them. So once they download the app, they immediately have essentially a suite of tools. So there are a lot of sub-apps in OWISE. It is obviously one app, a lot of sub-functions in there that give people a lot of support that they need from during essentially their whole treatment period as well as thereafter. So it's like a buddy from day one, and every time on the journey there are different features and functions that will support you more or less. So it's like it's that one-stop shop. And yeah, we are totally, to be honest, gobsmacked. We've gone through sort of virtual testing again with patients and workshops, and things they say are for us are mind-blowing. We have just one of my colleagues, one of our team members, been on the phone with a patient, and she says it's the must-have app for someone with breast cancer. We have people saying, it really brings order in a life that has become very chaotic because of cancer. So we believe this is really a tool that people say, takes their fear away and brings some clarity in these very difficult times. And I've never thought, to be honest, that an app could do that. I thought an app's going to be useful, handy. Yes, I may feel more organized, but that people feel that it can be a real support that takes a fear away, and that becomes this must-have tool. I've never thought. So we're incredibly pleased with all that amazing feedback, and based on that, we're growing in the other areas too.
I think that I think there's so many of us have been impacted by cancer, whether people have had it themselves or definitely a loved one. Both my grandmother and one of my aunts lost their battles with cancer, but I specifically remember my aunt who suffered from breast cancer. One of the key things that was so important, because I remember her just feeling like you feel like you're losing so much of yourself and who you are, and you're on this battle, you're on this journey, and as many tools as possible, as much knowledge that you can be armed with as you're going on this battle, it's so important. And it's not only information for the patient, but it's also something with families and for the people who are the loved ones of that person that's going through their cancer journey. I think that it's so important to arm people with that information and to make that available. It is so important, no matter what type of healthcare plan you have, your income levels, your socioeconomic status. I really love how this is helping to really level the playing field in terms of access to key information that's so important during this difficult time.
Well, that's exactly, you take the words out of my mouth. That's exactly why we felt we needed something like this. One of the studies that was just published when we started was that people with higher education, with higher with white-collar jobs, if you like,
Mm-hmm.
that they actually have better outcomes when they have cancer than people with from lower middle class families, well, lower middle class families and lower class families, because they dare to ask the questions. Is there a clinical trial for me? Or perhaps there's a doctor in their family, in the circle of friends or in their family. So we felt it's unfair that some people get better outcomes just because they can ask those questions. So what we've done and what we will continue to do for all cancers in the app is we have, you fill in some profile details and then you get a list of questions that you can ask your doctor. So we suggest, oh, with this type of breast cancer, there is a trial here. Should I go on that? Is that suitable for me? Or what about this particular test? Should I get that? And we have ordered all these questions and people can add them to their question list. And when they see their doctor, they have this list of questions to ask. They can make secure audio recordings at the same time because you can't remember what people tell you when you go into a consultation. So we've just made sure people are armed with those tools to make their lives that little bit easier. And the most important thing is that they can go home and share with their family members, even if they couldn't make it with them to the appointment, what the doctor actually said. So there was one patient, she's relatively young, and she would always bring her parents to the hospital visits. And then the parents had actually planned this holiday, and the daughter found out that she had this appointment, and then the parents said, oh, should we cancel the holiday because we'll always come with you? And she said, don't worry about it, I'll take OWISE. And for us that was amazing. So she said, you come back and I can let you listen to whatever was said. And so she became much more empowered. She could do her own thing, felt comfortable. Well, that's gold for us, you know, and it's simple things. And we make these things as secure as possible. Obviously for the user, they can really keep it on their phones, but it's also good for the clinicians because these recordings are protected. They can't be shared in any way, just on the internet or via email. So they feel secure as well, that information is just used for that patient, for the family members, and it's not going to be spread online and used against them. So we've tried to make sure that everyone feels that we can use technology in its best way to serve the purpose for both the patient as well as the clinician. So that's just one example, but you're right. We've also made sure, because actually one of our first testers came back, and disease for breast cancer came back with a male name, and we were like, oh, it's a male breast cancer patient perhaps. But no, it was a partner of someone, and he said, my wife is really, really ill. She gave me this app. I'm using it, and now it gives me a sense of control. So we do it both ways. It can be used by the partners, can be used by the patients. It can be swapped as long as you switch a particular switch, and the app is very easy. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's particularly sharing it with family members as well. We've made sure there are lots of options for patients to do that.